Welcome to Third Song In with Chris Derrickson and Tom Polachek. This week, we interview artist and illustrator Brian Condron. Brian Condron is an artist who has combined two of his passions, sports and art. A visual artist who works primarily on commission, Brian works out of his private studio in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. And although he'll draw any number of subjects upon request, he concentrates primarily on drawing sports and athletes. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Welcome, Brian.
Brian, you are an East Coast guy. As I understand it, you grew up in Philadelphia, currently residing in New Jersey. Is that right?
Correct.
So the other interesting tidbit is I believe you're our first sibling guest. Your brother John is a good friend of mine and was one of the earliest guests we had on the podcast. He was nice enough to come on and try to give us a little bit of credibility. So I know that he grew up in a rather rough neck of the Philadelphia area. Did you live in the same place with him at the same time? I know there's a bit of a gap in your ages.
I think they lived in an apartment before I was born, but other than that, we all lived in the same houses until he moved to Illinois. So we grew up together.
Excellent. And what's the gap in your ages?
It's a little over 5 years.
All right. So
you were 6 grades though. He's young for his grade.
So you weren't necessarily going to school together or anything like that.
No, I think when he was in 8th grade, I was in 2nd. And then he graduated high school. I was in 6th grade. So he was in college before I was really even in middle school. So there was enough of a gap there where, no, we were never really 2 years in elementary school. That's it.
And interesting to me that you both found careers in the arts, but different aspects of the arts. What drew you to art, visual art and illustration and drawing?
I'm not real sure. I think like any kid, I think every kid draws and colors and paints and I think that's very common in kids. And for some reason, people stop doing it. I don't know if they're discouraged or they just find other interests, but I feel like every kid out there starts off the same way as everybody else. It's just I did it for a little bit, like when I was younger, and I liked it. I liked drawing and painting and stuff. And I know my mom signed me up for a summer camp all the way at the other end of the city. So I had to take a school bus every day and go out there for a couple weeks in the city. And there were some high school kids who were like the counselors and stuff. And they were all like artists. Like they wanted to be artists. That's what they went to high school for. So
cool.
They would give us little tips and things like that. And so that kind of helped. And I just, my one teacher in grade school knew that I drew a little bit. So whenever there was like an event or something like that, he would ask me to draw like the little illustrations on the booklets that would be handed out or different things like that. So there was like little things here and there. And then honestly, when I got to high school, I don't think I picked up a pencil for 4 years. I got into sports. I got into the social stuff. There was a lot of guys I went to high school with that once I started doing this on the other side of college, they had no idea that I ever drew or had any kind of artistic inclinations. But it just kind of went away for those 4 years. And then I got to college and there was, I took a drawing 101 class because I was like, I like drawing. Let me just take this. This shouldn't be too bad. And I loved it. And I just started taking more and more and more and then graduated with a fine art degree.
No kidding. So I do know from your biography that you went to Muhlenberg College in Allentown, PA.
Yes.
Which is a D3 school, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you played football.
I did.
Excellent. Chris and I both played Division III sports as well in St. Louis. And
I think D3 sports gets a bad rap. I think people that don't know look at like it's intramurals. The people that know. And, it's just as big a commitment. And to be honest, there are plenty of guys that you're playing with or against that could be playing at other levels for whatever reason. They wind up where they wind up. And I think I think the guys that are playing D3 usually show more of a commitment to their sport than the guys that are the big time guys because we're not getting money to play. Even today with the NIL, there's not a lot of D3 NIL money out there.
No, you're absolutely right. I've always felt that way too, that the commitment, the talent may not be quite there, but the commitment was
a
usually
little slower, a little
yeah.
weaker, but for the most part,
My comment was always that Division three sports was like the island of misfit toys. We were almost there. In my case,
yeah.
I played running back in college, and I was probably as big and strong as any Division one running back, but a little bit slower than the guys who got the scholarship.
The speed is usually the main difference between everybody.
We would have wide receivers who were amazing, quick, great hands, but they were only like 5'9". Your lineman might be 6'4", might weigh 250, but might not be able to bench what the guy in Division One was able to bench.
Exactly.
It always felt to me though as the purest form of college sports, even before all this NIL stuff. Like going to a game at WashU was still super exciting. Like we'd all hang out, tailgate, go in, usually cheer them on to a loss, but we still enjoyed it.
Easy.
Like my freshman year, we were not a good team at all. And they completely fired the coach we were terrible. But our home games, we still had thousands of people in the stands because it was an event and the kids like going, the students like going. So it was a great environment.
And I know your brother John was a Division III athlete as well, or at least college athlete. Actually, I'm not sure what division he ran at, but he was a
D2.
track runner.
He got a scholarship. Yeah, he was Division II. He went to East Stroudsburg for a year, and he was an excellent runner. I think he downplays it now, but he was unbelievable. 2-time first team all conference, captain of his team, set records. He was an amazing cross country runner, and got a scholarship. Ran for a year, got hurt, didn't really like the college thing, and wound up leaving and doing other things. But he was an excellent cross country runner.
Yeah, that's you've just given me more information about his running career than I've ever heard directly from him. So.
I always thought it was amazing too. Like I said earlier, Johnny's young for his age. So his senior year, cross country is a fall sport. So when he's going into his senior year in cross country, he was only 16 years old. And he's running against 18 and 19-year-olds, and he still got first team all conference, just like he did a year earlier when he was 15. It really was impressive. At the time, I don't think I realized, because he's my brother, so it's like, whatever. But looking back, it really was an impressive career.
So if you go on your website or look on your Facebook page, you post a lot of your work that you've done, I think, by commission, drawing things for organizations and other people. And again, a lot of it does just that, marries your art, which you clearly love, and your love of sports. Did you start out doing that kind of thing? Were you doing that when you were drawing in grade school? Or is it something that came to you later in life after you took that class in college?
No, it started out that way. So like when I was 7, 8 years old, and you're bored and there's nothing to do, and you start drawing or doodling or whatever, I always loved sports, always played sports, always loved them. So I would draw what I liked. So I would go through Sports Illustrated magazines and draw the photos, or I would, anything like that. The Notre Dame logo. I remember I drew the Notre Dame logo and framed it and gave it to my grandfather, which he was nice enough to keep it, but it was really it was a little kid thing. But yeah, so, I did that stuff, I think just because, I wanted to draw and I like this stuff, so let me draw what I like.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you said that you ended up with a fine arts degree from Muhlenberg. I take it you didn't start out anticipating that's where your college educational career was going to go.
No, I thought I was going to be an English major and potentially be a lawyer or an English teacher or something like that.
Right.
There were some high school teachers that kind of were like telling me that's what I should go do. So when I got to college, I don't know. I remember I took an English class my freshman year, and I was always a good student. I always got good grades. And I went into this class and we had to read. It was like 10 chapters or something like that overnight. And then we went to class the next day and we were going to discuss the chapters, and the teacher's asking questions, and my fellow students were bringing stuff up that I didn't even know what they were talking about. And I read the chapters and I'm like, where are you getting this from? And then the one girl, I remember, in order to explain something that happened in one of the chapters, she referenced a book I had never even heard of. And I'm like, I don't think I belong in this class. Like, I really just think that this is a different. And so I still took some English class there. I still loved it, like the art, the lit stuff and everything. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I think I like art a little bit more than I like English.
How soon did you make that switch then? Was it after your freshman year that you started focusing on art and drawing?
Well, I feel like it's different nowadays. I feel like when kids go to college, they're pressured to know exactly what they want to do before they even get there, because they have to go into certain schools, colleges within the universities. And so for us, at least for me anyway, Muhlenberg was a liberal arts school. And so I went in undeclared, and I stayed undeclared as long as possible because I wanted to see what I wanted to do. So I wound up declaring, I think the end of my sophomore year was when you had to. And that's when I declared fine art. But at that point, I'd gotten, I think, 3 or 4 art classes under my belt, and I was kind of off and running. So I really liked it at that point.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, and Chris, you might even be able to speak to this more, certainly more than me, but I don't know whether the universities stress that or it's just coming so much from, parents and high school counselors or just peer pressure. But I agree with you. I've got 2 freshmen in college right now, and I do feel like they're just immediately pigeonholed or asked to pigeonhole themselves in terms of what they study. And my approach is kind of what you did, or my thoughts anyway, are that that's what college is for. Take some classes in areas you don't know anything about, because you never know what might interest you.
Right. Exactly. And I don't know. I there's cynical ways to look at it and other things, but it's different. And luckily for me, I didn't have to choose before I even showed up on campus.
Yeah, and the other, Tom, to go back to your original question, I mean, some schools, like I worked at UNC for 10 years, they admit all first years into their general college. You can't declare your major until you're a junior. So that whole idea is to explore, general courses, see what you're interested in. But now I really think colleges try to do that, but they get so much pressure to prepare these kids for their, whatever careers they've imagined. But the other part that's driving it is the admission process, because it's becoming so competitive. Like all these kids, and I'm hearing it all the time, they're choosing to apply. Like if they want to go to a certain school, they find the majors that are least enrolled in and apply there.
Oh, is that right?
And all those stats are out there. Like we just visited Georgetown this past weekend, and I was talking to my stepdaughter, and she said, well, I'm going to apply to the School of Foreign Service. I'm like, that's a really, really good school. I said, that's got to be competitive. She goes, well, their admission rate's between 12 and 15%. The business school, which is what I really want to be in, is between 9 and 12%. I'm like,
wow,
that's not why you make decisions.
So it's almost just to get your foot in the door.
Right. But then once you're in that specific school, it's a little more difficult usually to move. Then you got to usually reapply. So yeah, I like the model where you come in, you explore for the first year or two. You have someone guide you, so you're not wasting your time if you want to do other stuff later, but you can still explore. So I think, what you and Tom, Brian, what you and Tom did is the way to go. I took the 10-year route so I could, really.
You explored different subjects, different majors, different
schools.
Should I be calling you doctor? Should I be calling you Dr. Chris?
10 years for undergrad, dude.
So speaking of that, then, when you graduated college, did you go into the field of art directly, or how did that work? What did you do?
I wish the internet as it currently existed then in some aspects. I'm glad it didn't. Being able to just explore anything and research anything you want, and really like that didn't exist. So I had no idea what to do with a fine art degree. It was kind of, from a financial standpoint, it was probably dumb to be a fine art major. But my first job after college, I was teaching 7th and 8th grade in a little Catholic school outside of Philadelphia.
Oh.
And I had a friend who was a teacher there. I was talking to him, and he said, what are you doing after you graduate? I said, I don't have a job yet. He said, well, we have an opening. Why don't you come and apply? So I had to do an interview. I had to actually teach a class for the principal and then sit down with the principal. And then I got a job, but it had nothing to do with art. I was teaching social studies and English, and it had nothing to do with art. I was just a regular, like, 7th grade teacher. And I did that for a year. About halfway through, I realized I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And then I started looking for jobs. And then, so my girlfriend at the time, who became my wife, her father owns a business. And so when I was teaching, he and I would talk and stuff. And I guess he kind of knew that I wasn't going to stay teaching. So he offered me a job with his company. And I've been there for over 25 years now.
And so what do you do for his company?
It's a monument company for cemeteries. So headstones, foot markers, things like that. So on a very, very small level, I get to design some of them. So it's kind of like a backdoor way to use it. But basically, I'm a salesperson. So I sell monuments to people.
So, and I would imagine that job, that career gives you the flexibility to do your art and to do the commission work that I know you also do.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a 9-to-5 job. So, so because of that, I have nights and I work Saturdays, but I have some time here and there. So yeah, I look for, sometimes, I'll do like a little a festival or a little, one of those kind of card shows or something like that, where I'll be able to set up a table and try and sell some stuff that way. But most of the stuff I do is commissions. And I'll, like, some of my commissions, I work with Lafayette College now, which is a small D1 school in Pennsylvania. I know their head coach. He was one of my coaches when I was in college, when he used to coach Franklin Marshall in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And he had seen my work and he asked me to start drawing. So the senior gift, when they go to their banquet, and their gift is a drawing by me of them. It's usually like some kind of action shot or something. So he started doing that at one school, then he moved to another school. So that's one of my bigger commissions. That's a fairly regular thing. It's like a yearly thing. So that's nice. So I get to do stuff like that on like the weekends and nights.
And did you start out working as a commission artist when right after you graduated college? Is that something that you kind of moved your way into?
Well, the commissions took a little bit to get, but I think it was it probably was like a few years. I kept drawing things that I liked, mainly sports, and anything that I thought was like relevant, I would just draw. And like I said, I would do shows. I would show up to shows, and then as social media got bigger and bigger with Facebook and Instagram and things like that, I was able to get my stuff in front of more people. So there were people that I went to high school with. There were people, family members, and none of them knew that I did any of this stuff, but they started to see the work because I could show them because of social media. So from that aspect, the internet's been great, because probably 2/3 of my commissions over the years have come from either Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah, that's how I learned you were an artist. I think I saw something on Facebook that your brother had reposted. And as a matter of fact, I think it may have been a Lafayette College action shot of one of the graduating seniors you're talking about. This is years ago now. That's when I realized that you were an artist, was through social media, just as you described.
Yeah, so it's been good. And it's one of those things where I'm always up for more commissions. So, but yeah, the commission work has been good. And then there was a run there where like realtors would call me up and ask me to draw a house that they just sold.
Oh.
And then that would be like their gift to the family. So like the family would now have a drawn picture of this. So there was all different ways to kind of use it. But again, that was through social media.
So talk a little bit then about the process, whether it's through social media or direct access. I know you have, I believe you have a website, what have you. How does that work? How does someone find you, and then where does the process go from that point?
Well, what I find is you got to be active. It's tough for me to be as active as I'd like to be. One, I'm not drawing as fast as I could, you know what I mean, to try and get it because of other things. But basically, I post as much as I can. And then usually what I find is from newer, more original posts, I get more feedback. And then it helps too when people are sharing the post, and now people that I wouldn't necessarily have access to are seeing it. but I'll get random messages either through my email or through the actual social media. People saying, "Hey, I want a drawing of my son playing soccer," or, "Oh, Father's Day is coming up and I want to do my dad's favorite player was this person. Do you think you could do that for me?" And then we just kind of go back and forth in the email. I find out exactly what they want. I tell them the process, the price, all that stuff. They usually say, okay. And then we kind of go from there.
Excellent. Yeah, I know. I believe it's probably 2 years ago now. Time is going by quickly. I think I saw a post of Saquon Barkley. Well, you're drawing a Saquon Barkley. And in my head, I was like, I bet you that's going to get some attention. Some people are going to say, hey, can you do this for me? Or even, can I get that particular drawing?
Well, what I wound up doing with that one was I did a limited edition print with that. So I only did a 26 of them. That's his jersey number. So I wound up selling them as prints, and I wound up, there's a couple left, but for the most part, most of them sold pretty quickly. So it was a way for people to get it at a reduced price and still get the image. So that worked out well.
Yeah, and that was wasn't that him leaping over the guy backwards? Was that the shot?
The remember. Backwards leap.
Yeah.
Yeah, an incredible play. Like, I don't even know how you have the athleticism to do that.
I still don't see how he was able to pull that off. But I think that's actually the one I looked at, and I thought, I think soon after that, I texted Chris and said, hey, I think I have an idea for a guest on the show.
I like a lot of your stuff. The only problem with it is it's all these Philly athletes. And
yeah, it is Philly centric. That's for sure. I told you, I draw what I like. So,
but
sometimes I'll tell you what, I've done Steelers, I've done Giants, I've done
Cincinnati Bengals. I'm a diehard Bengals fan.
I'll tell you what, growing up, I loved Boomer Esiason. I love Boomer. When the Bengals lost that '89 Super Bowl to the Niners. Yep. I was devastated. And I think I was 10. I was 11 years old. I was devastated. But yeah, there was one. My roommate from college is from the Pittsburgh area, and they were doing some kind of charity thing. So they asked me to draw. I had to draw Sidney Crosby, which, as a Flyers fan, I hate Sidney Crosby. So, but I still had to draw. It was a favor for my buddy. So I drew that and gave it to him. But so I've drawn all sorts of people, even people that I don't like.
That's a sign of a true artist businessman right there.
Okay, I was just saying, I'm not a huge fan of Allen Iverson, but your drawing of him is awesome. That's a great one.
I love that one.
Oh, thanks. I'll tell you what, if you grew up watching him, there's also, whatever you want to say about off the court, but on the court, oh my goodness. He was amazing. Yeah. He was definitely one of my favorites.
And that was the era that I stopped. After that, we had some great basketball with the Bulls and the Pistons and the Sixers. I mean, I'm just not as into it now, but that brought back a lot of memories too. Because I may not like him, I appreciated him as an athlete. He was one of the best ever. So, but it was cool. It's a really, really great drawing.
I think it captures just like a guy who weighed 165 pounds and was able to do what he could do. He just
they have him listed at 6'1" too, which he's not. He's 5'10".
I was going to say there's no way.
160 pounds, and he was unbelievable, unbelievable. And I will say too, to echo Chris's point, when the Sixers traded him, it wasn't necessarily because of that, but I feel like there was a shift in the NBA, and I stopped watching too. I haven't watched the NBA in years.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that eventually you're going to get a commission to draw a couple University of Dubuque soccer players, but I need to have some action shots first, and neither of them really got any time in their freshman year, so I'm waiting for a year. I need a good season out of them. So
there you go. Well, just let me know. I'm ready.
So again, being our first sibling guest, I did want to ask you just a question or two about your relationship with your older brother, John, who's one of my good friends out here in the Joliet area. I know, again, you had a 5 or 6 year gap between you. And I wonder how your relationship with John worked, both in terms of pursuing athletics and pursuing art. You both did different things completely, but also kind of ended up, pursuing these dual paths that put those two things together.
Well, we had a phenomenal relationship growing up. Like I said, we grew up together, despite the difference. I mean, as much as we could be together we were, like family vacations and even just playing in the yard or going down to the park or what. He got very busy. Like I know he joined the Philadelphia Boys Choir, and he was doing that for years, and that was a crazy commitment as far as time. I felt like me and my mom were always driving him somewhere to drop him off and going back 3 hours later to pick him up and stuff like that constantly. So but he was great because he included me in everything. So like he's a junior in high school and I'm in 5th grade and he knows I like football and everything like that. He's bringing me to the high school football games and hanging out with his friends and stuff. Like I don't know too many 16, 17-year-old kids that are going to be like, "Hey, come on, 10-year-old and let's go hang out with my friends." So he was always very inclusive as far as bringing me along. And, I think we still have a great relationship, but that a big reason for it is because of how he was in our younger years, I think, because there are a lot of siblings that would be like, "No, I'm good. Like we'll hang out at the dinner table, but other than that, we don't need to be friends."
Yeah, I tell you, he continues to be one of your biggest fans. He's, as I said, I mean, the reason I knew you were an artist was because he would repost your drawings and he, in just regular conversation I've had with him over the years, you come up fairly frequently. He's very proud of you and he's clearly a big supporter of you.
Yeah, it goes both ways, but he was a great big brother growing up. And, like I think we are very supportive. I wish we lived closer so we could actually hang out, but But yeah, he was great with that stuff. And as far as like any kind of sports, there was enough of a gap where we were never trying to be on the same teams. And he played some of the traditional sports growing up. So he played soccer, he played baseball. He played football for I think a year, but that didn't really work out for him. So when he got to high school, he always tells the story. When he got to high school, the first day of school as a freshman, there are different tables. You just go to whatever table for the team you want to sign up for. So the football team had 100 guys in line. And he looked over at the cross country table and there was nobody there. So he didn't want to stand in line. He walked over and signed up for that. So there was no running experience in our family or anything like that. He just went and did that. And so we never played the same sports. You know what I mean? In high school, he did cross country, indoor, outdoor. In high school, I was doing football and baseball. And so we never played the same sports. There was never like a rivalry there either. So it kind of worked out perfect.
Now, did you dabble in music at all when you were younger because of John, either singing or playing or anything along those lines?
Not really. I mean, my parents signed me up for piano lessons, and that was the worst because like I'd have a baseball game Saturday at like 9:00 in the morning, and then after the game, my friends were all hanging out, and I have to go home for piano lessons. I was like 10 years old, and so I hated it. I did that for a couple months. And, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Like I literally, was. And it's funny too. So my parents, they bought a little piano, and my dad and I took lessons. And my dad got to be pretty good. My dad was actually pretty good. My dad is definitely musical. I think that's where Johnny gets it from. My dad could sing. My dad used to sing at all my aunt's weddings, his sister's weddings and stuff. And he's got a great voice. So I think that's where Johnny gets it from. But yeah, my dad got to be pretty good. I did it for like 2 months. And then Johnny would sit down. Johnny would never played the piano in his life, never got a lesson, anything, would just sit down and start playing like recognizable songs. And it was just, it's just unbelievable how it's just a different level of talent that he has. So at first I'd be like, I'm taking lessons for 2 months. You've never picked it up. You're playing songs. I'm barely playing Mary Had a Little Lamb. But then it got to be cool. Then it was like John, can you play this song? And he'd be like, play a couple notes, and then boom, he'd go right into it. It was unbelievable. Now he told me a secret later on, which I think he still does now. When someone requests a song that he doesn't really know, he's not playing the exact song. He's playing the gist of the song. But he's not playing it note for note. Like he would play Billy Joel songs. He's not playing every note Billy Joel, but he would play it enough where it was recognizable. So, but that was good enough for me. So,
Yeah, yeah. And on the other hand, as far as I know, he doesn't draw. He does. I'm not aware of any kind of visual art that he creates on any kind of
No,
regular basis. So,
nothing. Yeah, and I don't know. I really don't know where that came from. I don't know why. Like, I don't know anybody in my family that draws or paints or does anything. I have a couple cousins that dabbled a little bit, like kind of like how I was doing before, and but it never really amounted to much. And then as they got older, like they have hobbies and stuff now, but there really wasn't anybody that was doing anything like this. I do have uncles, and like I said, my dad would sing. I have uncles that play the guitar and do stuff like that. I mean, Johnny's on a completely different level, but yeah, I don't really know why we both kind of went in different artistic places, but that's the way it wound up.
how about your own kids? Do they are they showing interest in either visual art or music or anything along those lines?
Yeah, both. So both of my
Ah,
daughters are they're in the plays at their schools and stuff. They love singing, they love dancing, and that's the other thing. I don't know if Johnny told you he was in our high school musicals,
he did not
and
tell me that.
oh, I'll tell you
That's
what.
information I needed to have.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, dude. Just like anything, he turned it around and crushed it. So he goes in as a sophomore, and I think one of his friends was just like, come and do this play. So he was a background character as a sophomore, whatever. I don't even remember the play. South Pacific. South Pacific. He was just a background character in that. And then junior year, they do West Side Story, and he gets a singing role. He gets a solo. Just one. He was a side character, but he got a solo. The next year, the lady who was the director of the play told him, "We want to do Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat." I don't know if you guys know that play at all, but it's
Mhm.
but that's what she wants to do. But she told him, if you are not going to sign on to be the lead, we're not doing it. We'll do another play.
Right.
So it's
Really?
basically conditional on him. So he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it," and crushed it. It was phenomenal. My dad still has the VHS tape that we watch sometimes. It's
Oh,
he was he was great at it. So to get back to your question, both my kids are in the plays. They both love the music stuff. My the one played the drums for a little bit. The other one plays the ukulele, and so they're very much into the music stuff, very much. And then they both dabble in art. They both paint. They both are very
yeah, cool.
visually creative as well. So, like I said, I feel like every kid starts off that way,
Yeah.
and then for whatever reason, whether it's internal, external, whatever, they stop. So I've always been like, keep going, because even if it just
Yeah.
becomes a hobby, it's a nice little hobby to have.
Well, listen, I don't want to forget. I want to make sure we plug the places that people can find your artwork. You are on Facebook. I think if you search Brian Condron artwork, Condron is Condron. You'll find your Facebook page, and I know that you also post on Instagram at bcondron_art. Those appear to be the two best places to find your art. Is there any place else people should
Yes.
look?
And there's a website, briancondronartwork.com.
We will
Yeah, no
make sure
problem.
we put all three of those links on our website, thirdsonginpodcast.com. So if you go to the As Mentioned page, you'll find our list of all of our guests and links and dates and details for everybody, including Brian's artwork.
Well, that takes us to, for me, the funnest part of our episodes when we have guests, which is the playlist. Brian talked a lot about drawing about sports and sports figures. So not surprisingly, the playlist choice, the theme for this week's playlist is, let me read it, best songs that are actually played at sporting events or in certain circumstances within those events. So sports stuff. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah,
I gotta be honest,
exactly.
I struggled. I was trying to get something that would kind of tie everything in, and I struggled with the theme. I could have went in a completely different direction and did something that had nothing to do with any of this stuff, but I tried to keep it all together.
Yeah.
And I I don't know. I don't know. It's a very sloppy title. I know. I really don't know, but I was trying to get the sports in there.
No, I think it'll work just great. We did something slightly similar, but I think this has a different twist on it, and that was like
Yep.
a year ago or so. So,
Yep.
and Chris and I, we love, as far as I'm concerned, stadium songs and walkout songs, all that stuff, that's a blast. So I think this will be a good list. I'm looking forward to it.
And Tom will come up. Tom's a creative one. He'll come up with some, great title to put on the playlist. And these will all be on all the streaming services where our podcast and our playlists are. And we'll announce the title at some point.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, by the time you listen to this episode, the playlist will be out there again on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your music. I was thinking of the really creative title of sports stuff.
There you go.
I told you
Tom was a creative one.
So anyway, Brian, the way we like to do this is you'll have the first and the last songs on our playlist. We'll alternate our way through. What is your first song for our sports stuff playlist?
Enter Sandman, Metallica. And that's for Mariano Rivera when he would come into the Yankee games as the closer and greatest closer of all time. So I figured we'd start there.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that may be the most famous walk-up song in baseball, I think. I'm not a giant baseball fan, but even I know that's his walk-up song.
Well, you know what's funny? I think it's also Billy Wagner's walk-up song. And I think Billy Wagner used to get offended because I don't know technically who had it first. Billy Wagner picked it for himself. Mariano Rivera did not pick it. The Yankees did that. And it was around the same time of who had it first, but it became much more popular with Mariano because the Yankees were winning World Series and he was unhittable. So it's just kind of funny, but I think there's a little bad blood there with Billy Wagner.
That's funny.
Wagner was a great closer too. So,
yeah, and he's in the Hall of Fame too. So they're both Hall of Famers.
All right. I tried to go with songs that could give me a little bit of a story. First one's obvious, and these are also some of the greatest beginnings of songs. So my first one is Welcome to the Jungle, Guns N' Roses. I know everyone plays that song, but it's the Bengals. It's the song that the Bengals play at
which is appropriate.
At the beginning. Yeah, absolutely. They call their stadium the Jungle. Bengals haven't done a lot of things right, but the new leadership has at least made the game day experience much better than it used to be. And to me, this sort of typifies it. It's become an event. And watching that stadium at the beginning when the Bengals are running out and the fans are losing their minds is really cool. So, and that's also a great song.
All right, my pick is, and I don't know, there's no reason you would know this, Brian, but Chris knows that I actually grew up, I lived in West Virginia for a long time, kind of outside of Pittsburgh, the Wheeling area, so suburban Pittsburgh, basically. I went to high school for a couple of years, went to junior high and then high school a couple of years in West Virginia, and became a WVU fan as a result of that. We're big Mountaineer fans, of course, because it's the only game in town if you live in West Virginia. And a song that they always play for West Virginia football games is Country Roads. They play the John Denver version and the crowd weirdly goes crazy. That's not really a go crazy type of song. I never really understood that. And I decided not to pick the John Denver version only because it's just so kind of old, I guess. I mean, I still like the song, but I decided to go with a cover. Toots and the Maytals play a cover version of Country Roads. So that's the song that's going to go for my first pick for this playlist.
Well, that's a great song, and it's funny. Do you think John Denver ever thought that his Country Roads would be an anthem theme, like an arena anthem?
It's not just WVU games either. They play it. I think they play it at. I almost said Three Rivers, whatever the fuck the Steelers Stadium is called now.
Now it's like Acrisure or something.
Yeah, like Acrisure. That's what it is. But I think they play it at all kinds of other places now. It's crazy.
They do. They play it everywhere. And it's almost Beatles-esque in the fact that you have teenagers who love that song. And you don't really see that. Usually things stay within their generation. Yep. And then there are definitely bands, obviously, that transcend, like the Beatles. But a John Denver Country Roads song has reached I went to a concert one time, and it was not a John Denver environment. And they played that song as one of the just the warm-ups. And not the band. It was just pumped through the speakers. It was John Denver. And the place went crazy. And everybody sang it. You couldn't even hear the speakers because the entire arena was singing the song.
The Toots and the Maytals cover is a lot of fun and obviously very different. It's a whole different approach to the music, but I think it'll be a fun one for the live.
Nice.
Which then takes us to your next pick, number 4 on the playlist.
So my next pick is Renegade from Styx.
Speaking of Acrisure,
which I think is an underrated song. I think Styx is. I think Styx is a band that people can make fun of, but I think they're good. I think they're underrated. But yeah, so they primarily played at Steelers games, but I was at my roommate from college is actually from the Pittsburgh area. He's from Uniontown, which isn't too far from West Virginia. I don't know if you know Uniontown, PA.
I do. I know where it is anyway. Yes.
Yeah. So that's where he's from. But so I've been to a couple Steelers games when they play it, but I went to, there was a Flyers Penguins outdoor game at the football stadium, and they played that. And I'm a Flyers fan, so I don't really care about the Pittsburgh aspect of it. But the crowd went crazy. It was such a cool environment. You know, the guitar riff in there, and it's a cool song, and especially at like sporting events.
Yeah, for sure. It gets the Steelers fans fired up. That's for sure. Chris?
Yep. I went with a very obvious one, but I don't care. It's got one of the greatest beginnings, and it pumps up crowds. So AC/DC's Thunderstruck.
Great song.
I think every stadium plays it. I don't even know if it's associated with any one team or place. But once that starts going, just even on the radio, or there's no radios anymore, on my phone, get all fired up. So AC/DC's Thunderstruck will keep us rocking, and that'll take us to Tom, and he'll pick some other downbeat
real quick. ESPN had a commercial for NASCAR, like I don't know, maybe it was 10 years ago, and it was slow motion, and it was the guys in the pit and different things like that, and it starts off with the Thunderstruck guitar. And I could care less about NASCAR, but when the commercial was over, I was like, I want to watch this race. Like that, that's a phenomenal song.
That's definitely a psych song for sure.
That's a great memory. I remember that commercial too. Yeah, they could have a commercial for some kids' toys, and I'd probably be excited about it if they played Thunderstruck.
Yeah, it's a great song. And I'm not a guitar player. The only stuff I know is from Johnny, but that's not easy to play for as long as he's playing that.
Yeah.
Like that goes on for a long time. It really does. It's not the easiest to play.
All right. Well, speaking of obvious, I think I may have picked the only song that could be more obvious than Thunderstruck, which is Lose Yourself by Eminem, which is played in every stadium for every game at every level, I think. I did think about looking for a cover for that one, but truthfully, I love this song. And we played this song when I was driving the boys to soccer games when they were 7 years old. So I figured this was a good addition. And very similar to Thunderstruck, man, it just gets you fired up as soon as you start hearing that beat at the beginning. What a great song! I actually think that the movie that it came from is underrated as well. I love that movie. It's one of the few movies or films about music that I think feels like a Rocky movie, feels very much like a sports type of movie, and that song is obviously the most important part of it, I think.
That song to me is one of those things that when it came out was huge. Everybody loved it. And then it kind of got played out, and I would hear it and I'd be like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. And then now it's kind of come back around where now when I hear it, because I don't hear it that often, now when I hear it, I'm like, yeah, this is a great song, man.
It's a great song, and you tend to forget what an incredible rapper Eminem is. It's like you said about somebody earlier, I'll give or take the guy as a person. I think he's made some poor choices in his life, but he has the amount of talent he has to be able to do what he does and generate the kind of energy and emotion out of a rap song is just incredible to me. He is if he's not one of a kind, he's certainly at a specific level that most people don't get to.
Yeah, and it's funny because again, I'm not an Eminem fan per se, but musically, like some of the even the stuff he's doing now. My friends and I, we always talk about different things, and this is like a little side note, but Eminem is one of those guys that I usually try to include in my top 5. Like my top 4 of all time rappers has never changed. 5 is one of those ones that I think is a little bit interchangeable. So he usually sneaks in the top 5 for me.
He's in and out of the top 5. I think that's fair. I mean, just the pure speed with which he can rap and still be understood is something I can't comprehend.
Yes,
I don't know how he does.
Absolutely.
All right, so
and
that brings us
I
to.
underestimated you, Tom. Sorry, I said you'd bring us down, but you kept us going. Nice
see, I kept that level up for a little bit. I'll see what I can do. I can still bring us down. Don't worry about that. So we're up to number 7 on the playlist, and the choice is Brian's.
Okay, so mine's pretty obvious one too. I think this is played at a million different places as well. But Seven Nation Army, the White Stripes, is another one. I don't know if Jack White realized this was going to be an arena anthem when he wrote it, but it's pretty good. I chose Penn State because Penn State, I think, does it the best when as far as that. Like it's like Renegade is to Steelers, Seven Nation Army is to Penn State. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it's a great song. And more recently, I've been getting more and more into Jack White. I think he's interesting, but I think many songs that he's written are amazing.
It's hard to say he's underrated because so many people reference him, and I think he's influenced a lot of artists that came after him. But he's phenomenal. He really is an impressive artist for sure.
All right, does that bring it to me?
It does bring it to you, number 8 on the playlist.
All right, I didn't pick this, but since we keep mentioning songs that artists never thought would become sports anthems, you have to reference Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond, especially where I live. UNC goes crazy for that song.
Really?
They played it. Oh yeah, they played it every game, and the fans are, they shout out "Sweet Caroline." They go dun dun dun. So it's just it's a fun song. I didn't choose it because I work at Duke and I can't choose a Carolina song.
Fair enough.
So I did choose one that sort of goes back to a previous episode. Tom and I did an episode on best power ballads, and neither of us chose a Bon Jovi song. So I decided to correct that mistake by choosing "Living on a Prayer," which has been played in a stadium or two and gets the crowd going a little bit. Not a power anthem, but a nice little rock anthem that I thought I said correct a grievous error where we left off Bon Jovi for power ballads.
We didn't. Not a single Bon Jovi song in that episode. That was weird. All right, so my final pick for the playlist is a tip of my hat to my soccer playing sons. And at this point, my English Premier League consuming wife, who knows more about the Premier League than I think anybody in our house now. I went to search for a stadium song for a Premier League team, and apparently Arsenal plays a song called "The Angel." North London Forever by a guy named Lewis Dunford. I hadn't heard the song before, but I played it. And this is, by the way, Chris, the song that'll bring the tempo down a little bit. It's that's what they do too. They, the whole stadium will sing and sway, and they're not like high power, high energy anthems like the other ones we've talked about. But I felt like, particularly because I knew what your final pick was, Brian, I thought this was a good low key song to then ramp it up for the final pick. Which is yours. The final song for the playlist goes to you.
And it's kind of a tie. So you can pick either one of these because there's Gonna Fly Now and Go in the Distance. They're both off of the Rocky soundtrack. Bill Conti, I think, is the composer or whatever. But they're both uber famous songs that are played. But it has to have a Philadelphia flavor. So every Philadelphia sports team plays these songs. I mean, I feel like I'm at Little League games and these songs come on and stuff like that. So it's just ingrained in our blood, I think.
That's funny. All right, I will ask you though, gun to your head, which one do you pick for your final song there?
Oh man, yeah, because you have to pick, right? So, man, that's tough. I will say, "Go in the Distance" has a sample. Since we brought up rap earlier. It's called Victory. It's Biggie Smalls and Puff Daddy and stuff like that. It came out. It's not the song, but they sample the music from that for a Victory. I think Busta Rhymes is in it too. It's a great song. If I had to pick, I would go Gonna Fly Now is the actual theme. That's the dun, dun,
Right.
dun, 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 dun. So I think you'd have to go with that one.
And by the way, there's no real rule that says we only have to have 10 songs. We'll probably put them both on
True.
there.
Yeah, whatever.
I was just, you were saying that, I was like,
whatever you want to do.
I'm like, why am I making him pick one? We make the rules in this damn podcast for Christ's sake.
yeah, it's your podcast.
Exactly. All right. Well, I do think that's going to be a fun playlist. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. There are times when, Chris and I, depending on the guest, put together these playlists that have a lot more obscure tunes. And frankly, a lot of people aren't that interested. So this is not one of those. I think this is going to be a fun one to listen to. And I think we'll get some very positive feedback on it.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us, Brian. Appreciate it. And as I've sat here, you're also probably going to get a request from me to do a drawing of my son, who's a soccer player as well. So you might have drummed up some business with this podcast.
Absolutely, Brian. It's so happy you were able to make it. I'm glad that I saw your drawing on Facebook, and it occurred to me that you'd be a good guest because it turns out I was 100% right. Hopefully we can have you back again sometime, but we wish you good luck with everything in the future. And a little later in the podcast, after your departure, we will put your plugs out again, but you can find links to Brian's artwork both on his website, on Facebook, and on Instagram as well.
Thanks, man. Really
Thanks,
great.
guys. This has been so much fun. I really appreciate it. And
cool.
This is great. You guys do a great job. I've listened to other ones that you've done, and this has been a cool experience.
So our next segment is Post Facto.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
Post Factos, where Tom and I correct mistakes, complete sentences that we didn't finish, and or thoughts, which is a common one for us. Or just add some additional fact that we want you to know about. So do you have any post factos this week, Tom?
I do. I have a very exciting post facto. We got an email from a brand new listener. His name is Craig. He is a fellow WashU alum. I also believe he was a member of 13 back in his day, which unfortunately is much more recent than back in our day. He sent a really nice email, basically said he was working his way through the episodes, and he got a huge kick out of my early description of a London's Run gone bad when I went to the London and Sons wing house and a guy attempted to mug me for my wings. I'll just mention one thing he talked about in his discussion of going to London and Sons back in his day. He said there were 3 rules that he was told before he went there for the first time. One of the rules was bring $5 and only $5. The other one was don't look anyone in the eye, but don't look away either. I'm not sure how you do that, actually. And then he said his instructions were when you get to the window, ask for a 5-piece, cheese fries, and an extra roll. And that is exactly the way we used to order when we went probably 10 years before him. So it's nice to know the tradition was handed down.
Yeah, it was cool. I read that one. It was a great email, and we appreciate the enthusiasm too, because it was cool. Like that's the thing, is we tell these stories. We hope we connect with, some group of people. That was someone we didn't know we would connect with, and it was cool to see it.
Yeah. So thanks for the email, Craig. Keep them coming. If you have any other comments, particularly if you have suggestions or ideas for future episodes, and we would urge everyone else to email us at thirdsongin@gmail.com. Whether you're a WashU alum or not, we'd love to hear from you.
All right. And then next for us is staff picks.
Just around the corner from you.
Staff Picks is our chance to make recommendations. We try to recommend something to you that is just out, coming up soon. Sometimes it's something we just discovered and either we didn't know about it or they're just brand new on the scene. What do you have for your staff pick this week, Chris?
This is one that I think might make you laugh, not because of the primary artist. I picked a new song and basically a new album by Joe Pernice and the Pernice Brothers. But Tom and I have been listening forever, back to Scud Mountain Boys and some other stuff he did. He's got just I love his voice. Tom and I are going to do a future episode on voices that may not be perfect, but that really resonate with us. And Joe Pernice is that exactly. Like, he can sing the saddest song lyric wise and have it sound somehow not so sad. I love the way he delivers his lyrics. He's a great songwriter, great singer. He's on Substack, which we'll talk about later, becoming more and more active. And he's promoting his new album, which is called Sunny, I Was Wrong. Just dropped. All the songs are out. He released a couple early. One that wasn't released early, but excited me is It Won't Be Me by Joe Pernice with Rodney Crowell. So
Dun, dun, dun.
the greatest ever.
I'm telling you, Rodney Crowell and Joe Pernice have to be guests on our show because we give them so much publicity.
We do. It's a great song. Two, I've only listened to it a couple times through, but give a listen to Joe Pernice's new album. He deserves a lot more attention than he gets.
Yeah, I agree. I've listened to the song once through, kind of same as you. Really like it. Again, you can't recommend him and his older work as well. Even going back to Scud Mountain Boys, he is fantastic. And Rodney Crowell's fine.
You bastard.
So my staff pick is someone absolutely brand new to me. She seems relatively new on the scene, and she has a new single out that just came out in January of this year called 6 Feet Under. The artist name is Kells, but it's spelled in all caps Kels. Apparently her first name is Kelsey, so I assume that's where that comes from. But I also looked it up, and it also appears that it's pronounced Kells, like the Book of Kells, I guess. Remember that animated movie? Anyway, she has a very Amy Winehouse sound to her, very soulful. She's incredibly independent. She doesn't really have an album out. She's been releasing singles kind of on a regular basis for about, I don't know, the last 18 months to 2 years, as far as I can tell. But I don't find an album. I just find all these singles. She puts stuff out on YouTube. I became aware of her because someone else posted something, I think, on Instagram. It was a link to YouTube, and it was this awesome song. Her song, she's very kind of soulful, very bluesy sounding, very throwback, old school. I think she has a really strong jazz background. And again, very similar to me to the way Amy Winehouse sounded. And, all other things, all other sad things about Amy Winehouse set aside, she had an amazing voice, and I loved her music. This woman hopefully will have much better luck in her life. And if she keeps putting out this kind of music, I think she's going to end up being very, very well known. But the newest song is the newest song is 6 Feet Under by Kells. And if you look her up either on iTunes or Spotify, you'll find at least another half dozen of her songs. Big fan so far. I'm going to keep my eye out for her in the future.
Very nice. I'll have to check her out.
Yeah, I think you'll like her. It's a little different than it's not really a sound that you go for all the time. But she's a very distinctive voice and just kind of really cool delivery. Her videos are kind of cool to look at too, truthfully.
I say it all the time, but this time I will really check it out.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, that's going to take us to Loft of Wisdom.
You better open up your eyes, baby, because fools do get wise.
Loft of Wisdom is quotes. Chris and I love a good quote. We like to post our quotes on our website under Loft of Wisdom in our drop-down menu from our shows. What kind of quote do you have for us this week?
I love my quote this week. I was looking for sports-related quotes.
I just saw
it. And I've never heard this quote.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I remember Antoine Walker. I don't know who he played for in the NBA. I think he played for Kentucky College. If not, it'll be a post facto. But he was a great three-point shooter. And apparently he must have been asked at one point why he shot so many three-pointers, and his answer was, because there ain't no fours.
That is hilarious. I have never heard that quote. Perfect for this episode. Very sports related. That one is awesome. That definitely deserves its place on the Loft of Wisdom. Mine is not sports related at all, and it only tangentially, I guess, does it fit with the theme of this episode. It's one of those quotes I've had in my pocket for a while, and I couldn't find a good one that I thought really did connect completely. But you really can't go wrong if you quote Todd Snyder. He did a series of re-recordings of all of his studio albums that are called the Purple Building albums. And one came out in 2024. The album was Happy to Be Here. And as an introduction to just one of the songs on that album, he made this comment offhand, which I just love, which is, "You can't forget memories." And whether it belongs specifically for this episode or just for this whole podcast, I think it needs to go up on the wall.
That ties in. Like you said, ties into the podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
You can't go wrong with Todd Snyder. Yeah. All right. Well, we've made it down to what has pretty much defined this podcast, or inspired it probably, is our playlist picks. Tom and I do a playlist for each season. We choose one song each, add it to a running playlist. This one we really try to tie to the theme. And what's your choice to add to the season 12 playlist?
Yeah, first of all, I'm just going to completely contradict you because I didn't tie this into the theme at all.
Motherfucker.
But on the day we're recording this, it is the day after Rex Manning Day. Does that ring any bells with you?
Not a single bell.
Rex Manning Day is a reference to the movie Empire Records.
Oh.
It's one of the few films that there was an event that happened and they gave the specific date, which was April 8th of whatever the year was the movie came out. So we're recording this on April 9th. For some reason, and I swear to God, I didn't put it in here, but every year on April 8th, my work computer on my schedule pops up and says Rex Manning Day. It's hilarious. I assume somebody like just planted that in the software somewhere, but it makes me laugh. Every morning I come in on the 8th and I go, hey, it's Rex Manning Day. I always post a picture of Rex Manning, the character from the movie. Anyway, he's famous for being kind of an awful over-the-hill singer in that movie. And his very famous song, which in the movie was from like 8 or 10 years prior, is this just schmaltzy song where there's a video. The song is called Say No More, Mon Amour. It's awful. It's just terrible. I couldn't pick that. I couldn't put that on our playlist. But I did decide to pick the final song on the soundtrack, the final song in the movie, which is Sugar High. It's sung by a guy whose name is Coyote Shivers, who actually also had a role in the movie as one of the record store employees. It is a really fun song, and it captures that movie. So Empire Records is one of my Shawshank films that we'll be discussing in a future episode. It's one of those movies that if it's on when I walk in the room, I'm going to sit down and watch it all the way through. So it doesn't have anything to do, unfortunately, with Brian or even sports or art, other than in the most vague way. But yesterday was Rex Manning Day, and I didn't want to let it go by uncommented upon.
Well, for some reason, Rex Manning Day is not plugged into my Duke calendar, so I'm a little disappointed.
I'll just remember to remind you every year now.
All right, so I did full on with the theme of the episode. I almost chose the original of this song for our playlist with Brian because it fits perfectly with like the awesome beginnings of songs. And that song is Kickstart My Heart, originally by Motley Crue. But there's a band out of Raleigh called Between the Buried and Me. And they usually do much more epic metal type songs. And this is metal, but a little bit more fun, hair metalish. They did a cover of Kickstart My Heart, which I am adding to the playlist. I think when we did our playlist with Sloan, I might have done one of their songs, which gives you an idea that usually the type of music they do. But this is a pretty good cover and a great rock anthem. Kickstart My Heart by Between the Buried and Me out of Raleigh.
Cool. That one, haven't heard. Looking forward to it. So once again, we want to thank Brian Condron for being our guest. Had a great time talking about sports and art and all kinds of other stuff. Please look for his artwork. You can find it on Facebook if you search Brian Condron Artwork. You can find him on Instagram at @bcondron_art. And you can, if you search Brian Condron Artwork on Google, you will find a shopping site that's all of his illustrations, his prints, etc., all his stuff that's available for sale. And I believe it's also the place you can go to contact him if you would like to commission art directly from him. He's an amazing artist, and I recommend that you do that. All of those links will be on thirdsonginpodcast.com.
Third Song In is recorded in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Joliet, Illinois, and Tinton Falls, New Jersey.
Please email us your questions, your comments, and your suggestions, just like Craig did, to thirdsongin@gmail.com.
Also, check out our website, thirdsonginpodcast.com. We've mentioned the Loft of Wisdom, as mentioned, all the various links under from our show. I especially want you to check out the As Mentioned so you can see all the information on where you can find Brian's art.
Please follow us, rate and review our podcast wherever you listen to us. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Spotify, of course, plus Pandora, Overcast. All of those sites allow you to heart us, to share us, and to rate us. And we need you to give us all of your motherfucking stars. Thank you for your attention to this man.
I don't know why I laugh every time.
You do every time, and then I laugh. It's great. We share that thing. That's whatever it is, we share.
Speaking of motherfucking stars, share our motherfucking playlists. They're out there. You can find them by searching for Third Song In. We got the season playlist. We have the guest playlist like we just did with Brian. On Spotify, if you search for T. Polachek, it's a lot easier to find him. On YouTube Music, you can search for CP Derrickson, I believe. Let us know if you can't find him, and we'll help you because there's some good shit out there.
Absolutely. Also, look for us on social media. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram account. We have a Blue Sky page. We do post stuff about Third Song In, but we also like to post any upcoming dates, details, or information about all of our past and future guests. So if you liked them on the episode, you can find out what else they're doing.
You can also subscribe to our blog on Substack. Tom and I publish a blog each week, take turns, any number of themes, and they're out there to be found. If you subscribe on Substack, every Friday morning, you'll get an email that takes you directly to the latest blog.
Tune in next week when Chris and I discuss our top 5 Shawshank films. Those are the movies that if they get started and you walk in the room, you're going to stick around to the end.
You've been listening to Third Song In with Chris Derrickson and Tom Polachek. Thanks for listening.
Say it.
Get out of my business.
Say me.
I was. Hold on. Just
Beluga.
Baby beluga in the deep blue sea.
A lot of singing.
You and me.
Loft of Wisdom are quotes that made.
Quotes that fuck you?